notice that I am no longer able to use this mic. Unfortunately, when you upgrade equipment, what happens is, coming from somebody who likes technology, things go awry. I was planning on using this mic, but this mic for the vertical, but unfortunately, it's definitely the upgrade, the update. So I was using an iPhone 12 to record before, and now I'm using an iPhone 15. So if you're going to, I guess if you're going to have to upgrade, you have to upgrade everything else. This is just what I've noticed. So it's a little frustrating, but I have to accept the situation and just kind of work with it, right? Okay. So welcome in. I'm going to be talking. I'm more global than just the United States. I know that a lot of people come on from the United States on here. When I was like midday noonish, I found I had a lot more people from overseas coming over to talk and stuff. So this is that time where I guess everybody's on vacation now, aren't they? Technically speaking. Let's just close this. We can take a look at that later, but I'm not going to go into that. And yeah, I'm definitely more global because I lived in 5 different countries. So I'm not just, and I have that funny, I don't think I have an American accent. I have like a funny twang to my voice, which is like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just something I've kind of dealt with. Welcome in. I don't know who's coming over to visit. Feel free to ask any questions. It'd be nice to see who comes down to talk and chat and analyze and discuss. Just letting you know, this mic is not that great. I am aware of that. But I upgraded this phone, and it's become like a little bit of a mission. So now I have to work with the situation. The other live that I'm doing, I'm sure you can see, it's the landscape. So the landscape is the better quality sound. If you're looking for better quality, it's going to be on the other one. Apologies that I can't do both at the same time. I've noticed once you upgrade on a phone, everything else needs to be upgraded. This is why I don't like to upgrade. I should have just kept with the iPhone 12, and that's the end of that. But welcome and hi, how are you? So yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about global stuff because I feel like when you're living in the States, or when people live in the States, they don't always understand how it feels to be living overseas. And I'm sure the people who are here from overseas understand that there are like so many restrictions overseas, that the United States is just like this free country of like, you can say whatever you like. Whereas you go to another country and it's not like the same thing, which is one of the reasons why I kind of put my channel in a very calming environment, because I know that these are the kind of things that people have to kind of deal with and handle, because I'm half South African, I'm half American, and I came from a private girls' school background in South Africa. I also did my master's there. So I've jumped around. So I worked in South Africa, and I've worked in the United States, and I worked in Japan. So, it's a different feeling, and everybody thinks that you're making a lot of money overseas, but in fact, sometimes you're doing a lot of stuff for free overseas, and you still have to be nice and put a smile on your face, because now you have a position or a job that they're expecting you to do stuff, right? So that's how it has been. That's just one of the things that we have to kind of encounter, is sometimes it's not always fair in other countries, and people don't always get paid. So it's just to bear people in mind. And I know a lot of people were very like, oh, we don't have jobs here in the States. And I was like, well, we have to make our jobs. This is at the stage where we have to think about making our own jobs. If we don't have a job that we can get hired in, we have to create the job. Very similar to how South Africa works. We create our jobs in South Africa. On many occasions, you have to develop your own business. There's something that I did a business course called the Shell Livewire business course in South Africa, where it was an open door for communities to develop projects and kind of get into the process of how to create a structural business. And I think Shell Livewire it's connected to Shell, like the oil company, but Shell Livewire has been a very big force in global development, and that's one of the projects, or one of the like, I took a course with them and I passed and stuff, obviously. So that's like an important thing to remember, is that they're the countries in different parts of the country, or in different parts of the world, it's just hard to find. You can't survive unless you produce the job yourself. So you have to learn how to survive in a different way, right? That's like another process that I think when you live in the States, people don't realize that this is a struggle that actually happens overseas on a regular basis. And when something hard happens in the United States, this is like, they think it's the end of the world, but it's not. The rest of the world goes through the same thing. So it's basically what's happening around the world on a regular basis for decades now. This is nothing new. Nothing new. The States is having a hard time, but overseas also has a very hard time. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. I've been there. I've seen it. I've experienced it. And that's why I started developing my own projects. All of the stuff you see here, I built from scratch. This is not even anything. Actually, I'm going to start a new track. I'm going to start a new track today while I'm talking, okay? Yeah, it's frustrating to see that everybody here in the States is stressing out about these jobs, whereas you go to the rest of the world and people are suffering and struggling and not making it and not surviving, and it's so much harder. I don't think people are really aware of what's going on. That's just my personal take on this, is that I think there needs to be an awareness about the global economy, not just the American economy, but the global economy. And politics, I don't get into it, but I know the political world. And I don't like talking about it, because I think it's something that should be left alone, because it does cause frictions. And wait, I'm going to close this. I'm starting over again. No. It's nothing I want to get into. And I just know that there are a lot of things overseas that are just not working the way they should, right? So that's the step number one. Yeah, so I feel as if it's important that people are aware, even though I'm living in the States right now and it says the United States in on my channel, it does not necessarily mean my channel is just an American channel. It is indeed a global channel, because I did live and grew up outside of the United States. It wasn't just the US. Like, I think people are not aware that this is in fact a thing, right? Okay, so let's find. I'm gonna come up with a composition. I haven't done this in a while. Let's see, E minor. Let me stick with E minor. Should we? Okay, so. A somber sound, or do we do? Yeah, so I think for me it was important, or I think it is important, to bear things in mind, to be aware of the global and the local, because the local is tough, but the global is even harder. People are having such a hard time overseas. I think we tend to forget that there is a bigger world out there. Just like we all say, oh, the universe probably has other beings out there, right? We hope that there are other species out there in the universe, because I really hope that the globe, our world, our planet, is not the only planet. I hope that there's other life forms out there. Just like we have to remember, when we're living in the States, we have to remember that there are other countries and other continents outside of the United States. And we have to put things into perspective. And I just don't think people are thinking about it as the larger perspective. We only think about it here in the United States. But put yourself in the boots of people who are from Vietnam, who are from Cambodia, who are from Indonesia, who are from Japan, who are from, gosh, the Philippines, who are from different parts of Europe, who are from Africa. We forget. In America, we forget it's not just America. Don't forget, America's only 250 years old, right? Technically speaking, where the rest of the world is much older. Like London and Britain, much older, much older. So people have struggled. Struggling is part of the process. People always whine and complain here. Oh, we don't have a job. Make the job happen. If you don't have a job like I'm doing, I have to make my job. Create it. Create it. I learned the business course with Shell Livewire in South Africa besides the projects that I developed and what I studied, and I learned how to build it from ground zero. There should not be people complaining, because just imagine you were living in another part of the world outside of the United States and how you would be struggling in a thatched house without any running water, and you have to go out and find your food, because that is what the rest of the world deals with. They struggle. People struggle. People are not thinking straight here. We need to think more globally, not just locally. We need to really think about this very, very carefully. Like, the plan is to help people, not to distract us from only thinking about America, right? That's why my channel is here, because I want to bring awareness to the global spectrum. It's not just an American thing. It should be, what can other people around the world, what are other people struggling with now too, right? That's my thing. Okay, where were we? I need to come up with the beats, but I'm using my iPad and my iPhone, so I cannot use that. Why am I having a hard time here? Drums, all drums. Okay, and I think that's my biggest, or I want it to be a takeaway from this channel, is that I don't think about only America. I think about the globe, okay, because I lived in different parts. I lived in Indonesia. Like, I know the struggles that are going on. It's not like, and I know people are doing well, but there are also people that are not doing well. So we really have to put that into consideration, right? Like, you think that we're suffering here, and the job the way people are treated in jobs is so different than your experience working in a job in the United States. I mean, people can just drop people there, but without respect in other parts of the world, you have other really, really bad problems that can happen to you if you're not nice to people. Like, drastic things happen to people there. Trust me, I know. I lived in places that are not necessarily as safe, and I survived, but they're not as safe as people think they are. Okay? So it's really, you have to put things into perspective. I just don't think people do enough of that. This is too slow. People are, hold on. Let's do 125. No, 120 is good. BPM. So I'm busy working on a track. All the stuff that you've heard me. I was teaching music. I actually have music courses on here. If you want to learn classical music, I teach classical music. Or okay, so it just, like, I really think that music is the grounding, like learning the actual instruments is the grounding for many, many more successful things. Like, if you don't have music in your life and you're not working on music, I highly recommend it. It's a great starting point. A great starting point. That was one of the first things that I learned when I was 3 years old was music, because I grew up in a family that was music based, right? Still thinking. Okay, so we might use that. Import, I guess. Let's just hear what the sound is. Oh no, we don't need that. So let's lower that. Oh god. It changed my BPM. Tempo. Change my tempo. BPM, beats per minute, is what they usually teach for. Okay, so we're going to create beats first. So we're going to do beats first. But I just thought that I should really, like, if I wasn't in the States, I don't think I would actually be, I wouldn't have all this music equipment, I tell you right now. It was such a struggle trying to get equipment in South Africa, unless you were part of, like, a production group, or, I mean, you had the computers and the laptops, but having equipment and making sure nobody would steal it was a whole different story. South Africa it's great country, but there are many things that people do not talk about, hey? And I'm like, as a South African, I know all about it. So, yeah, be grateful we're living in the States. You know, I think a lot of people in the States would be very worried, very worried. Their behavior, like, the way people go about doing things here would not go down in South Africa, let's put it that way. You might not even, make it out of the airport. Who knows? Who knows? And Japan's also a great country, but there are also many things there that you have to be concerned about and respect. Just like we saw on the news lately, the World Cup thing. The Japanese came in and they cleaned up and they helped out and they participated and developed. That is how Japan is. And I remember living in Japan, and that's how we did it in schools too. I went to a Japanese school, and I also went to an American international school there. So I've seen both sides. I learned Nihongo when I was younger. Okay, so we're busy I'm just playing around with sounds right now. But I just wanted to keep people aware that, I think sometimes really people don't understand that we have it good here in the States. We do. We have it good here in the States. Overseas, it's a lot harder. I promise you right now. A lot. Even getting a job there is twice as hard. Trust me. Not as, So the whole point is create the job. Like, thank goodness I did sort of, like, live there and study there in South Africa, because I probably would never have given it a try to learn and to figure it out for myself, which is what I do regularly here. To develop something. This is mine. This is not my husband's. This is all the stuff that I got because I studied and taught the stuff. So this is not really anything. This is not much at all. This is just a minute amount. This is tiny stuff. It's nothing too drastic, Yeah. So I just want people to be aware, hey, this is, everybody talks, and I'm older, okay? I was working from the age of 15. I have not, this is the first time I haven't had, like, a job, right? Like, I've had to I've really had to build my job up. But when I was starting at the age of 15, I had no breaks. I was constantly working. I was going to school and working. We didn't have social media, so this is that was the circle. You worked, you did your outside school curriculum activities, you would have your music classes, you would go do whatever you had to do, and then you'd do your homework. That's what we did when we were younger. Hey, I'm not even under exaggerating. That's exactly how it was. So, people have it easy. This generation is they don't understand. I don't think a lot of young people understand what people have had to go through. Just imagine what your grandparents and the parents' had to go through before you. You have to really think about it, hey. You got to think about other countries. Don't just focus on the States. Like, learn and experience about other countries. Study more about it. I don't know. Let's change the key. Okay, so that's I think I wanted to have a serious conversation because I think there's a misconception that, you come onto my channel and my channel is like all about coolness and entertainment, but it's actually all about um, respecting and understanding and learning and treating people with respect no matter where they're coming from. And that's like I just see that this is the one thing that's missing on YouTube is not enough. And I know it's the boring stuff, right? I know it's the stuff that people hate listening to. Oh, she's on about like respecting people. But hey, it saved my life when I needed it to be saved. The more you respect people, the better you are overseas because you never know. You could be in the middle of nowhere and you've heard all the stuff that happens overseas, hey? So just bear that in mind when you're thinking about if you were to take a trip to another country and one was to behave a certain way, how would they, as people living in that country, see an American and treat you in depending on how you respect and respond? So that is like a big. What's this? What is going on with my channel? Hold on. Okay. Absolutely froze. There we go. I think somebody tried to call, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, so respecting the space is very, very important. Respecting cultures is very, very important. And understanding how different countries respond to jobs and lifestyles and careers is also just as important because I came from another country. I did not grow up in the United States my whole life. I did not. And when I came over here, people thought I had a funny accent. So I had to adapt to moving to the States from South Africa when I was younger, and I had to fit in sort of to have people not laugh at me because I had a lot of people laughing at me when I was younger too. So it's not an uncommon thing, and I've just learned to take it often. But the respect really needs to come from within, right? That's kind of cool. I like that. Okay, so I like that. So I'm going to work on a track, something new, just to keep me from going bananas because I think the anxiety is just getting to me now, okay? So, yeah. I think it's just the awareness. Let's see. What am I supposed to do? Copy? Where's the copy now? Oh gosh. Copy and paste. Okay, I'm just putting in a loop. I'm not done with anything yet. That's kind of interesting. So I'm going to do a little bit of both. I'm going to talk a bit, and then I'm going to do a little bit of conversation about, you know, Like, America is wonderful, but at the same time, I also appreciate the other countries. So I don't want to just talk about America. I really do want to speak about the global elements to international, um, the contrast, because I lived in the other countries. I didn't just go travel there. Like, I actually lived in the countries. Hey, so. Okay, and right now I'm basically just doing like layers, but I'm going to eventually, what happens after this is I eventually like adjust and modify stuff. So you can see my whole section on music, right? Music is also part of um, business, but I don't just see it as like my sister's all about like doing the music and performing and all that stuff. But I'm always like, I like the technical stuff. I wanted to buy the equipment because I like the production side, right? So that was like my thing. It's like these skills, I have to say, these skills in music, because I had learned music production when I was like, oh gosh, I'm now 46. I was 17 or 18 when I was doing music production in Tokyo. I also was working in Japan while I was going to like, I think I was, yeah, I had a couple of things going on. So I was after school, I was working in Japan. And then in Japan, I also went to the school there. So it was kind of like a combination of things. But when I was in school in Japan, music production like was like that's all I thought about. So that was like my thing. And I know that music has actually helped me understand the technical side and technology, which was super awesome. Right? That was like that was the important side of living in a country that actually had the equipment to learn how to do this back in the late 90s. I was sort of like stoked. So I was like, yeah, this is so cool. So I was doing this stuff. Okay, let's just add that. Okay, so I needed to have that chat about overseas because people do not understand that overseas is a lot harder than the United States. A lot. And people have to struggle to make their way up any situation, okay? That is the truth about knowing and understanding different parts of the world. Okay, let's make this lengthier. Let's make this longer before I even touch on any of that. let's do this. So I'm going to copy and paste for a little bit. Excuse me. Okay. So yeah, I just feel it's important that America, like young people here in America, need to understand that overseas it's twice as hard. You would see kids at the age of like 13, 14 going to the market by themselves without their parents to get the food for the parents to cook, like in another area. So it's just different. People have this is luxury here in the States compared to the rest of the world, other countries, okay? So we need to kind of put that into like major perspective. There are other things that are also very amazing overseas, but the States is better than some other places that you could possibly struggle with and work in, and behavior. It's totally different. I promise you, it's totally different. It's totally different. I have gone to the education systems and I know how strict they are. Like, I don't think people in the States would survive the education systems overseas. I think they just like have a panic attack and just roll back into the bed and say, I'm never going to school again. That's how it would be. People here would absolutely, in the States, would absolutely have, I don't know. They wouldn't make it. They wouldn't even make it through the first class. That's that's what I know. They would just roll around and complain and, oh, I don't want to go to school because now I have to do the work. Good grief. So bad. Like, what do other countries think? Okay. Copy. Paste. So I'm going to just paste for a little bit. Okay, so I just want to bear people in mind. The reason why I have certain rules and regulations on my channel is because this is how it's taught overseas. Overseas, this is how people have to deal with things. Like, you can't talk when the teacher's talking. You have to make sure that you're respecting everybody. No gum being thrown all over the classroom. No pencils being tossed in the air. It would never happen overseas, I promise you right now. The kids would be out of the school and gone. Finished. Finished in klaar, as you would say in South Africa. Finished in klaar. Okay? Yeah, no. It would not be tolerated. That's how it works. And as somebody who was teaching students, I'm so thankful that I had students that were from overseas, so all of us had a common denominator, and we all appreciated each other's cultures and respected each other, and we took it from there. So I had some very, very phenomenal, absolutely fantastic students. I really did. I was very thankful to have had them. And that's where I am right now. I basically lost my job because I made masks. Not because I did anything wrong. I know I was a really good teacher. I still am. I'm still teaching privately. Okay? So it's not the education. It's basically how management works here in the States versus overseas. And overseas, I literally would have just walked out, right? Not said anything and walked out. Here, you don't have to say anything. People obviously just lose their minds because they just don't understand. So it's like, okay, let it be. Right? Or you just develop a business. That's how people survive. They create things that they found objects. I mean, even in places where you go to the market, each family, if you go to different markets in different parts of the world, you'll find each family will be sitting with a basket of their own thing. They have had to start their own businesses. That is how they support their family. They start their own business, depending on the environment and the situation. I'm talking rural locations right now. I'm not talking about urban locations. That's a whole different story, okay? But I've seen both worlds. I've seen the urban, I've seen the rural, and I've seen very way at the top. And I think there needs to be some sort of balance somewhere, right? So that's the thing. Sorry, I'm busy trying to get this together. If you're interested in the music, feel free to just watch and observe. Okay? Yeah. No, I'm having this talk because I feel as if, while I'm doing the music, because I feel as if It is not spoken about enough. And I think this is where the lack of misunderstanding is that, if you have lived overseas and you've had parents that come from overseas, there's a different thing that happens within the household. That's that is it's a different mannerism, different behavior. Like, there's a little bit more respect. And you pass that boundary with the respect, and the parents are going to be like, hey, you crossed the line, kid. This is not how it works in our house. I don't know where you learned that from, but this is how it goes. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are not like the States. Yeah. Not to like, but I've just seen it. I just know how it goes. I don't think everybody's like that, but I do think on a larger scale, this new generation, I feel like there needs to be a little bit more responsibility taken on their behavior. And that unfortunately is not enough. Like, that's why my space is here. It's an educational space for it's a global discussion. It's not a space that is just for America. Okay, it's not just for America. I have the American flag on a car, but I also have a South African flag on the other car, and I've done both of my pieces. Okay, and I should actually. So that's what I'm dealing with, right? That's how it works. And music is not just because it's cool and fun. This is a skill. This is a technical skill that can help you develop um, those skills that you need to understand technology even more. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I enjoy this. Is it's just keeping up with a skill. You got to keep practicing consistently, just like everything else. You got to keep practicing to keep up with it. Now, I've been a little behind because I've been focusing a lot on discussions, but that is how it is. That is how it is. Okay. I don't know how many minutes I have here. Let me just check. Just keep it. You usually have to do like a 4 minutes. What's this? What's this now? Project time. Beats in time. 5 minutes. That's fair. We'll thin it out a little bit. We'll make it smaller eventually. Okay. 5 minutes. That's quite long. Okay. What's the next section? Let's see. Here, right? Okay. I guess I'll just copy and paste that. It's fine. Then we'll just adjust it. Okay. Okay, so copy and paste, and I build my own site. So if anybody wants to learn how to do like the basics of business and learn about how to construct things on their own, feel free. You can ask me questions. I did a whole bunch of things. It's not about the certificates. It is about what you learn from the certificates. And I find that a degree is not a degree unless you understand why a degree is a degree. It's not because it's just how you respond to certain things and what you learn. And actually, the more you get like certificates, the more you begin to understand the larger picture and the respect factor, because it's all about determination and respecting what you're learning, because you have a lot of research you have to do just to get to the point. So it has nothing to do with a degree, but more to do with the strategies behind the actual degree and why people get it in the first place. Humbling is an understatement when it comes down to the masters. You are humbled by learning the etiquettes and what you study, because you begin to realize that there is a bigger picture that people are not necessarily talking about, right? So that's the whole. I think that's the whole thing, or the takeaway, is that I don't think a lot of people know that. I mean, when you meet somebody with degrees, like PhD people, they're humbled. They're not abrasive. They're not. They're focused on like they're focused on understanding the larger picture. That's why they're so advanced in over formulating and over analyzing, because that's what people do. You have to analyze. You have to over analyze for certain things, right? You have to look at the bigger picture. Without the bigger picture, there is nothing. That's basically it. Oh my goodness, did I just, yeah. Okay, so we have this over here, okay? Oh my goodness. Yeah, so it was not always easy. It was not always easy working overseas. It was not, I can't say it was, I think it was a very, very hard route to have taken to get to the point of understanding that business is structured from understanding the ground zero basics, from having a bag of potatoes and deciding what you're going to do with this bag of potatoes, and where you're going to take the bag of potatoes, and how are you going to make the money from this bag of potatoes, and where are you going to get the bag of potatoes from. So you can just think of business as a bag of potatoes and where you can take it from there. You can start with a pencil. I had a neighbor when I was in the States, who started selling I think he was really young. I was babysitting him at one point, who started selling pencils and stationaries in his house to earn money, right? While I was I was like, this is such a smart kid. Business at the age of like 7. I was like, what are you doing? He had a whole stationery like table and everything. So when people came in, he would sell people stationery. Now that's smart. Like a young person thinking about selling stationery. That's kind of like brilliant, actually. So there are things you can do. Like if you want to start small, start with either a sack of potatoes, a bunch of stationery to see where you can take it. You don't have to start with this. You start with something. You start with something. It could be a plastic bag for all and you could create something amazing out of that plastic bag. Maybe you collect a whole bunch of plastic bags and create like they do in South Africa. They create like these mats out of these beautifully embroidered and crocheted plastic bags. Recyclables. That's why I always emphasize recycling, because recycling could lead to a business vision. If you don't have it, you make it. That's how I do it. If you don't have something, you make it. And you can see it through all of the things that I do. I make it. If I don't have something, I will definitely make it. Something I learned from being overseas, because not all the time do people have everything. They have nothing sometimes, and you start with something. From that nothing, you start something. And it's humbling to have experienced living in countries that maybe not, they don't, like, you have people who are really rich and you have people who are also not very rich. So you have to see the balance between, and that balance between, it's that in between stuff that actually is the masterful stuff that goes on between how a business can be structured. So that is like the takeaway. Like, observe other countries and see what they're like. Beads. I mean, beads are like good example. Like Africa, different parts of Africa, they make these beautiful. Now these beaded necklaces are all over the United States. They've like brought it over and they're doing business. That's business. You start with something. You start with something, right? But it's the understanding of accepting the fact that we don't always understand and know everything, that we have to acknowledge that this is indeed the whole thing, right? So that's the whole takeaway from this discussion. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to edit things. Okay, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let's just put a keyboard down then. Okay, I'll adjust it later. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Okay, so let's do track. Guess I'll just record right here. I'll just use the right hand. Everybody just uses a few notes, right? So. Okay, so now we've created a loop. I guess this is called a loop, right? Okay, let's see if I can copy and paste this. Okay, copy. Yeah. So I just think that, it's fun and dandy and great and fantastic for people to argue and complain. But when you put yourself in the shoes of other people who have lived elsewhere, okay, then you see that the struggle is real. It really is hard. Not just hard, but the respect factor is so different, I promise you. I don't think people from the schools here in the States would make it, especially in South Africa, because they still live under the British system format, right? So the British, I mean, writing English, like proper English, you have to write, like, grammar is really a big deal there. We would lose 100% from the States. It would be finished. No, it just finished. It's all done. It would be an end to a story right there. Right? So we just need to think about these things, hey? Yeah. So it's great to come over and let's like have some fun and sit and talk. But as somebody that's a little bit older, that has lived her life, that has experienced many things, I'm also here to help guide, because I feel like that is like a thing, hey? Like, I know social media really doesn't like that, but I don't see there's another option at this stage. Parents are complaining. The platforms are freaking out. Everybody's going to court. I mean, it's just like, what do you do? What do you do? Do I sit here and watch it, or do I do something about it? And my answer is I usually would do something about it. So that's how I see it now. Right? Yeah. Oops. Why is this acting up now? What's going on here? What is going on here? Why is this not? Why are we having an issue? Excuse me. Here. No. No. Just a little bit more. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, so that's definitely off. I don't know how to do this, man. I think this is like way off. Hold on. Oh, sure. Yeah, it's like a milli. That means I need to play it over and over again. Okay, this is not going to work. Let's see. There's like that little bit over here. Okay. I guess I'll just play it over and over again until I finish. Okay, that's fine. Let's just do that then. Okay, and this production stuff or anything else that you do takes concentration. This does not just happen because it's cool. This happens because there's absolute focus and control. Okay? And this is what we lack here in the States is we don't have the focus. Our focus has gone right out the window. And this is what they teach overseas is they teach how to concentrate and focus. Because without that that's a skill that will keep you it's a focus skill that I don't think enough is going on. I think the schools have too much the parents have a lot of control and the schools have lost control. That's my personal opinion is the schools have lost control over the younger generation and because it's I don't know. They're like things that happen and I'm coming from somebody who studied in different schools in different places in the world and I just know that is what the problem is. That's why I'm not teaching in a school anymore. I'm like I'm done. I'm finished. I don't need that. Not here in the States. No, thank you. No, thank you. Okay, let's do this again. Oh, shit. Actually, I'm going to start the whole thing over. Let's just do that. Just play it right through because this is going to be a disaster if I don't. Okay. Okay, so this is just the beginning. This is like I'm starting over again. This is like a new try. I don't know what I'm doing. Today is one of those days. Okay, so I'm going to save this for now. I'm going to just play the other piece so I can finish talking, but I've started the ball rolling on something new. I mean, why not, right? New idea. You always have to keep going. Like, it's a skill to learn how to do lots of different things. Each thing takes concentration, and concentration requires focus and practice and great care in how you kind of deal with things, right? Let's put this one on the track that I worked on before so you can hear what it sounds like. Okay? You probably heard this piece. Okay. So I think for me, that was like the biggest takeaway, is that I think that I don't care how many people don't like me speaking up, but I am speaking up because I think it's important to say what you have to say. Everybody else talks about what they have to say, and I think one person needs to speak up and say something, right? Language. Excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not playing. Oh, language. Why? Were you from South Africa? Anfari fera. Ana feri fera. Ana fera. I didn't say anything bad though. Unless you speak a bit of Afrikaans, maybe you could pick it up. But I don't know. I don't know if that's where you're from. No clue. Yeah. We don't care because you guys are fools. Report. Okay. Okay. Oh, hate speech. It's actually hate speech. Okay. Oh, somebody else was saying, thank you for keeping an eye on that man. Yeah, no, you guys need to go away. If you don't want to be here, go away. But I do want people to be aware that my channel is actually, you do realize that this channel actually has, hold on a second, let me just do this quickly. Oh my goodness. Yes, the one side is for the vertical, but the other side is, 1 second. Take this off. My hair is driving me nuts. And who was the person? Hold on a second. Who was the person now? Oh, this person. Yeah, hide user from channel. Okay, so let's bear in mind here that I have control of my space, and I don't care what people say, but I will say what I have to say, because this is exactly what is needed on social media. Thank you very much. And I think this is why I have this channel, and I think this is why YouTube is like, go for it. We are having a discussion because this is something that really needs to be discussed. Behavior in the United States is absolutely appalling. Appalling. With the young people, it's appalling. Okay? I come from South Africa. Hey, we do things to kids. Just to let you know. Okay. Okay, so I'm just hoping that people are aware that I am not your age. I am indeed maybe your parents' age. Okay. So for those who were pleasant and nice, you're welcome to join me. But for those who have a disgraceful behavior and mannerism, you can leave. You can leave because I don't need people like that. Right. Okay. So that's how we do it. Okay, so it's for something. Okay, so I'm going to continue doing my music. So, and by the way, when people are reported on my channel, those channels get strikes. Just to keep you aware. Those strikes mean you're going to have a hard time trying to build a channel if you're seen or caught doing something irresponsible on this channel. Okay? So, we have control over our channels and we have a right to choose how we go about doing these things. So, just to bear in mind, those who are trying to give me problems will receive problems in the end too. Just pointing it out. Okay. So now we're going to move back to the other track. Save as. I should have actually. Okay, open. What is going on here? Recent. What is this now? What is this? What is this? Open. Open recent. New idea. Okay. We're going back to the other track, and I'm going to work on the other track. Okay. Hi, dear. I'm going to feed you now, okay? I'll be with you now, just now. I have a funny feeling let's see now. Anna Ferrari. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to go through this other parts. I don't think anything's happening here, though, eh? Okay. So, yeah. No, I think I'm here to, let's just say, I have taught in schools in the States, and I also have helped people in schools overseas. So, this is indeed, on social media, I think this is the biggest problem of all, is that this stuff that's happening on social media goes out and you try to get a job with this behavior, and this causes a problem because then you think you're going to make money, but you're not actually. You're going to be poor forever because you don't have the respect to understand how an office space works to make money. So you guys, if this behavior is the way you want to behave, then just be warned that in the future of your success, there might be a downfall. So I'm just putting that out there, and I feel like it's important to actually state the obvious. Okay? And that is that it is what it is. Okay, so I'm going to keep it short today. Okay, have a good one, folks. But just to let you know, my channel is not a game. This is not a game channel. This channel is for people who are serious about growing and developing like I am. And if you're not interested, I didn't invite you here. You can absolutely disappear. It's fine.